Hello everybody, I'm Justin. To my right, your left is Sandra.
I'm Sandra.
And we are going to do this thing called Manga Block. Pretty much where we talk about some manga that we have and we both read it. Discuss it and all of that jazz. And for our inaugural episode of this little thing we've got going, we're going to be talking about Solanin by Inio Asano.
So show it to everyone.
There it
The
is
cover.
right there. Yep. It is a one-volume sort of whole series kind of a deal.
It's complete in this one volume.
Yeah, it's complete in this one volume. That's the way to put it. Okay, yeah. So it's like a slice of life, coming of age kind of seinen manga, however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
And where did you get this again, actually?
And you bought it in Barnes and Nobles when they were having the Manga Mania thing. Well, I like the cover. It stood out a lot. It's not drawn all moe looking. It's unique.
Yeah.
And the synopsis in the back sounded interesting.
Nice.
That's why I picked it up.
Yep. And then once you read it, you really liked it and you wanted me to read it. And it took me about like nearly a year, I think, before I finally committed to doing the whole
He was
thing.
like, oh, it's so good. I'm going to read it over the course of a year. It's that good that I had to take my time on it and not just ignore it and pretend I'm going to read it on my break at work.
Yep. And so yeah, she was very, very salty about that for a long while. I finally did finish this like a week or so before we moved in together, and yeah, it's really good. So sort of the overall setup of it is that it's about this young couple, girl named Mako and a guy named Taneda, I believe.
Yep.
And it's about the two of them post-college. They've moved in together. They're getting by, basically. But then one day, sort of, I guess, inspired by her boyfriend, Mako decides she's had it with this job that she hates, this desk job, and quits. And that becomes sort of the setup for everything else that happens throughout. And it's pretty much about, like, the struggles and the triumphs, pretty much all of the life that happens as all that goes on. And the dude as well, and all of their college friends that they know mutually, they had been in a band back in college. I think were they still just like kind of practicing for the fun of it, but then they eventually like start do it more seriously, kind of a deal, I guess.
Yeah, I think they're at first it was kind of like, oh, we're just doing this for fun. And then they decided, like, oh, maybe we can get somewhere with this.
Yeah. So like
how that happened, but I know at one point they decided to try it professionally.
Yeah. So it's like a lot of it is about like rather than just like accepting life as it is, a lot of it is about sort of like I'm going to take the initiative and make a change and be more active. And it's I guess about like the both like the good and the bad that comes as they make the decision and as they deal with the consequences of doing so. And so a lot of it is...
I don't know, it was being more active though. It was more like her saying, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm well off enough for it. Even if I didn't have this job, I could probably be alright. Okay. And he pretty much just encouraged her. He was like the final step into encouraging her to leave where she was.
Okay.
Even though he was kind of half asleep when he said it. But
she took it as the wisdom that she needed to make the step. And so, yeah, that's pretty much the setup. Probably don't want to get too much into what happens after that. There's very major things that happen for those that want to read it. One of the things that really stood out to me reading this was like the art style of it all. Like it's very, very untypical compared to a lot of other manga that's out there. It's, well, the character designs are probably one of the most significant things that she was pointing out before. Like the designs, they're like simultaneously more detailed and also sort of, I guess, more true to life. Like there's not a whole lot of sort of the pretty boy, pretty girl kind of stuff going on at all. It's like...
Well, you don't get the huge eyes and the sparkles that you get in some things, or the huge boobs, or tiny.
Yep.
You know, the usual anime style you see with all these anime coming out. And like she even has freckles, you know? You don't put freckles on people.
No, you do not. And like the backgrounds as well are like a bit more detailed and look sort of it's like sort of like a lot of like other manga, like when they show them, it's usually like there's kind of like a clean cut style to it, whereas this is sort of like because it takes place like in an urban environment a lot of the time, it's like got more of like the lived in and like sort of dirtiness, I guess, of it, which helps to really sell the environment as well.
I like the detail they put into it. Like you could see some of the buildings are more like dirtier. Like it's some little details on the ground. Everything looks rougher. Where it feels more real, I think, instead of just these clean streets and like simple backgrounds. Inio Asano already got into drawing the backgrounds, and it helps a lot to draw you into the story and get you to feel like the atmosphere you're living in. Like if you've been in a city, you could kind of imagine how it would be if you're in there. Or how the weather would be, seeing what season it was, and the kind of clothes they're wearing. And I really like that a lot about this story.
Yeah, this is like one of the most evocative mangas as far as art styles that I've probably ever read. The only one that I can at least think off the top of my head that even comes close.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah. Like, the only one that seems to really come close is, like, Yotsuba, I think. Like, the background work in that is really good and really pretty. But even then, that's, like, as, like, an idyllic, like, a small town kind of a feel, whereas this is, like, a more urban environment. So, like...
No, it takes place in Tokyo.
Yeah, it takes place in Tokyo, so, yeah. So, like, I think what it's going for it here is very, very impressive and really good. And it also, like, really helps out as well with the characters, which were one of the things I really liked about it. All of the characters are really fleshed out and have, like, these very definable personalities. Even, like, in the one page where they're introduced, a lot of, like, the art and also what they say and everything just really conveys who they are in a short amount of time. And so you get these sort of really vivid characters. And they're also really likable, although with their flaws and quirks and things and all that as well. And yeah, I think like just seeing these characters interact was just a joy in and of itself as well. Mm-hmm. What do you want to add on to that?
It was a joy.
It was a joy. Yep. And the main couple as well, Miko and Taneda, were also really good too. Well, they were especially good, which I would hope from.
Yeah, I felt like their relationship was believable.
Yeah.
You know, you could see by how long they were together, just how natural everything was between them. Yep. Even the life problems of living together and dealing with jobs and financial things.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very interesting.
Absolutely.
I got to really know a lot about the characters, which was cool.
Yep. Definitely. And yeah, as I think you're saying, like, about them being believable, like, a lot of the stuff in general that happens is, you can kind of see how it could all play out for real. Like, even though, like, some of the things they get into are kind of, I guess, very unbelievable, I guess, in concept, but the way they convey them, the way they execute it makes it to, like, pretty much seem like, oh yeah, this could definitely kind of happen. Mm-hmm. And also, one of the biggest things that it reminded me of as I was reading it, and I think you had actually recommended it, like, pointed out as well as trying to get me to read it, is for any of you that watched the anime Beck, or read the manga for Beck, like, that had a lot of sort of, coming of age, real life kind of things, like, where it also was kind of about doing these, like, crazy situations, but because of how they were executed and how everybody was conveyed, it seemed sort of, like, very believable and convincing.
Yeah, like, in comparison to, like, reading other, like, shonens, where we'll go about this completely different and wouldn't, like, make the characters, like, they wouldn't use as many, like, real life examples to create these characters.
It took me nearly a year just because I'm very scatterbrained, but I'm very, very glad that I did. I'm glad that I dedicated myself, like, in the span of a couple of days to reading the last half of it, because it is really good. It's really damn good. I guess, like, if you just want to have characters you want to, like, grow with and cheer for and see them through some crazy shit, like, this is pretty good. Not sure the same word else
If you want to be immersed in the story, that's more believable. It's not like people contains something that's more natural, like if one see something like that. Like, especially coming out of college a few years ago and it's trying to be an adult, it's very relatable.
Yeah.
Of how the economy is and how life living in the city was. I can
Yeah.
really relate to these characters. And even if you don't live in the city, it doesn't matter. Just
Yeah, this is like it'd be a pretty good representation. I feel like I guess if you had never been to a city before, this gets it across pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah, like so. Yeah, and actually, yeah, that is true. Like I think this came out actually around like the whole economy collapse in America. Like I think this came out like around that time, like 2000, like late 2000s or early 2010s or whatever. And even before then, I know that I think Japan had been going through its own economic troubles for a long while, up to and including that point. And I think like part of the manga was sort of like the intention was to be a representation of that particular moment in time, where like it's tough being a young person in Japan, I suppose. But it's not like all terrible and all of that. They're still like getting through the tough times and coming out like with I guess like a smile or some good times, some good memories. Mm-hmm. And so it like gets across all of that pretty damn well. So I think we both definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, if you've not picked it up, go do it.
If you're looking for action battle manga that's insane with grows in boxes and mecha, you're not gonna like this. But
all right,
if you're looking for something more real, check it out.
definitely. Do so right now.
Well, I'm not gonna force them.
But you
I'm
should
not
do
gonna be
so.
like him. No, shut up. Let them do what they want.
You should do so. No, we recommend it. But
No, I'm kidding. Oh, sorry. He's being a jerk to you.
it's all right.
Please, please.
Oh my God, you don't even understand that.
Please,
Do me a favor. No.
Well, I felt like I related a lot to the main character just because she hated her job. She got out of school doing something she, we'll get into a job she disliked. You wanted to talk about Tanada and his joy of music.
I wanted to talk about Tanada and his joy of music. So yeah, like as Sandra was saying about how she can relate to Miko, I actually can kind of relate a bit to the other side of that relationship as well with Tanada. Not just because, okay, this is a point that's taking too long to make. Not just because I have glasses like him, not just because of that, but like also like
Also because they have short hair.
yeah, it's also because of that, I guess, apparently. But no, like I can kind of relate a bit to his struggles as well. Like for him, like one of the big things is that he has a passion with music. And like now that he's out of college and all of that, he's had to struggle with like juggling what he loves versus like what he has to do because of money and other necessities and reasons like that. And I can kind of relate to that as well, even as it comes to like this whole channel itself. Like I really like doing a bunch of things actually, which also in and of itself is a problem. Like I like doing videos for this channel. I like anime, I like manga, I also like video games, and I like music. Like I really like music, not just like listening to music, but also even playing and making my own. But like juggling all of that with like having a full-time job and things like that, it makes it sort of very hard to really dedicate to the things that I like to do. And so like the struggle that he goes through within in what he does, I can appreciate that and can also kind of see myself in a bit as well. And also, like, he's just like a very sweet dude as well, and I guess in a sense kind of what I'd want to aspire to be.
You are.
He's like, oh, thank you. Like, yeah, like just like being a good person, being good to the people that I care about and that I love, and also like through it all, like sticking with sort of, I guess, my principles and like sort of not like, I guess, selling myself short in that kind of a way. Like those are things that he has to deal with as well, and like the way that it's portrayed in this, and like how it happened, like I liked all that. So like it's just like I guess the kind of stuff like that as well. Like we are about the same age as they are in the manga, and yeah, as she was saying, our situations are kind of sort of like what's going on.
But not exactly.
Not exactly. No, definitely not exactly. But we can kind of, we can kind of see, I guess, like bits and pieces, or like we can sort of like understand the sentiment of what they're going through and appreciate how they're feeling and how they're dealing with things. And so like that, just like that sort of connection, I think, deepens deepens the way we feel about it even more. We can empathize them more because of all of that. As well as like feeling and being very true to life, and like pretty much like none of it feels contrived or cheap. All of it is organic and natural, and also convincingly feel like it could actually happen, sort of as a real life kind of thing as well. So like the fact that it's able to do all of that with its story, and especially with its characters, and like even tying it up by having like sort of an art style that feels very lived in and immersive. Like pretty much with all of that, like it's a really good manga, pretty much overall. And
darn it, we should have picked the worst manga to start out.
Yeah, like
now it's gonna live up to this.
Yeah, and apparently you've read some of the other Inio Asano works that have come out here more recently too, and apparently you said this is like still your favorite of them, I think.
Yep, but the other stories are kind of different. Like they follow different points of life, different types of people.
Yeah.
So they kind of feel similar, but the kinds of people it follows, the situations they're in are really different.
Yeah,
Not as relatable for me, but still very interesting.
Yeah.
He's like Inio Asano's work, and this was the one that got me into reading more of his stuff.
Yeah. And I guess it would be a good entry point for him in general as well. I guess definitely as well, right?
Usually people are like, "Oh, he created Solanin. You should read everything else." In the rate, you should read everything else if you want to.
Yes, yes, we recommend it. We'll just put it on that. But yeah, this is a definite recommendation. I think it deserves more love. Anyways, that's our piece on it. I think we've said everything we wanted to. If you have read it, we would like to also know what you think of this. If you wish to do so, hit us in the comments, and we would really appreciate seeing what you all thought. Make this a dialogue, stuff like that. Outside of that, thank you very much for watching this edition of Manga Block.
First edition.
First edition, yep. Hopefully we will be doing this way more. Hopefully you'll be seeing from us soon enough. So until that time, thank you for watching. This has been Justin.
And Sandra.
Good day.